Huawei, proud sponsor of TechBusters.
Topic of humankind, let's move on to the millennials. Yes, the next generation, not Toby, because he's way too old to be a millennial. According to ASUS South Africa, mobile devices are quickly becoming direct competition to more traditional forms of entertainment media, such as TV or radio, more specifically amongst the millennial generation. Yep, those damn kids and their cell phones are changing the entertainment landscape. Now, will flipping through channels on your old-fashioned remote control become a thing of the past? With the launch of video-on-demand sites in South Africa like Vidi recently, vidi.co.za, cool site, and the imminent launch of Netflix later this year, will television viewing go to the way of the dinosaurs? Well, we certainly hope not, since we'll all be out of work. But here to chat about this particular trend is Sifiso Nhlapo, marketing specialist of ASUS South Africa. Sifiso, welcome to TechBusters. You reckon these millennials are going to change everything?
Aki, they're taking over. These kids are in demand. They want everything instant gratification. What they want it right now. So, like you mentioned, things like TV and radio, they're really becoming a thing of the past. Like you said, maybe for the generation, the dinosaurs, as you call them.
Yeah, not Toby. Toby's not that. He's pre the dinosaur age. But when you talk about millennials, let's clarify millennials. What year are the millennials born? I think it's around 2000, right?
Yes, yeah. We're starting from about 18. So anything like right now, we started classifying between 18 and 34 years old.
Yeah. So you see, Toby, now I have a millennial living in my house. My daughter's 19 years old. And I've just been observing her since, she was born and how she interacts with technology. They don't necessarily compartmentalize things, but they do things simultaneously. They multitask a lot better than what we do. And I watch how she loves to watch television. She watches with her one eye. She's doing something on her iPad. She's doing like 5 things at once. I can't do that.
There's another word for that.
What's that?
ADHD. As I always say to people, if you want to see the future, ask a teenager or watch how teenagers interact with their technology. And of course, if a teenager, a 15-year-old or an 18-year-old now, in 5 or 10 years, they're going to be in the workplace and they're going to want to work in the same way that they do when they consume stuff. So there's a real push for big business to match the incoming workforce. And very often you find the businesses that don't match the behaviors of the incoming workforce are the ones that get left behind.
Well, on that point, Toby, I'm noticing from our side at ASUS South Africa is that when you look at your companies such as MultiChoice, who are now bringing in live streaming of a show like Game of Thrones, that's the kind of that's when they're fighting back now. So TV is trying to fight back, but it's not quite there yet. Netflix in America does it very well. On demand, they release the show one time. Nobody wants to wait a week to see one program. The whole continuity presented thing is also slowly falling apart.
That's binge viewing, isn't it? So there's a difference. I mean, what I'm understanding you're talking about is that when people want to watch something, they don't want to wait for the broadcast at 7 p.m. tonight. And to add to that list, MultiChoice's DSTV.com offers the same kind of on-demand, or you can download it to your tablet or your smartphone. So you're finding that there's a lack of patience with this millennial generation.
No, for sure. It's also something like, I think we've been offered so much because our devices are always on us.
The question is, a company like ASUS, right? Yes. What are you guys doing to adapt your technology to fit into this millennial generation? Is there any subtle differences that you need to make to the technology? Does a tablet stay a tablet? Do you have to adapt anything?
Speaking on that point, we have what's called an ASUS phone pad. It is what you call a tablet with the phone functionality now. We're starting to mix 2 devices into one because no longer can you just have 2 devices. You can't have the phone and the tablets. And you find that also smartphone users will then move on to a phablet or a tablet. That's the next step. So what ASUS is doing is that why don't you mix the 2 devices into one, hence the ASUS phone pad.
How's the adoption been from these millennials you talk about?
In South Africa, on average, we sell ASUS phone pads about 4,000 a month. It's also one of the highest tablets that we find on our market. It's not a high-end tablet. It ranges between a price of 1,699, but it does well to feed into the large market.
But when you say the millennials are changing their habits, I would say that it's just not only the generation of millennials, but I would say it's across generation. We're all changing. I'm finding myself consuming a lot more media on my tablet device, and I'm not a millennial.
No, it's not for sure. I've noticed noticed that change also with just looking at my parents. It's no longer just that phone, and it's no longer just the feature phone that they want anymore. They need a smartphone, and as we consume more data and everything else, we're finding that we need more bigger screens. The small screen now is no longer enough.
You know, you and I have been in this technology game for a long time. It's just amazing how fluid this market is. It just changes just so rapidly. Who would have thought 10 years ago that we'd be consuming media in this way? Did you ever imagine it, Tobes?
No, of course not, Aki.
I see.
I never look into the future and wonder how things are going to be.